Have you ever noticed something strange after a breakup? Sometimes the most painful moment is not the argument. It is not even the moment you say goodbye. The most painful part often comes later. When everything becomes silent. No messages. No calls. No random texts during the day. Just silence. The kind of silence that slowly fills the space where someone used to be. And somehow, that silence can hurt more than anything they ever said. But why does this happen? Why can silence feel so heavy after a relationship ends? Psychology actually has a very interesting explanation. And once you understand it, the feeling might start to make more sense. Think about what life was like before the breakup. You probably talked often. Maybe every morning started with a message. Maybe you shared small moments during the day. Pictures, jokes, random thoughts. Even the smallest things felt meaningful because you shared them with someone. Your phone lighting up with their name became normal. It became part of your routine. Part of your daily rhythm. Then suddenly, that rhythm stops. The messages stop. The conversations stop. And the person who used to be everywhere in your day suddenly disappears. Your phone becomes quiet. And that quiet feels strange. Almost uncomfortable. You still check your phone. Sometimes without even realizing it. You open the screen. Look at the messages. Then close it again. A few minutes later you check again. Even when you know there is probably nothing there. Your brain keeps hoping. Maybe they will message. Maybe they miss you. Maybe they are thinking about you too. But the screen stays empty. And that silence starts to feel louder than any argument you ever had. One reason silence hurts so much is because the human brain hates uncertainty. Our brains are designed to search for answers. When something important ends, we want to understand why. We want closure. We want a clear ending to the story. But breakups do not always provide that. Sometimes the conversation ends suddenly. Sometimes people simply stop talking. And when there is no explanation, the brain becomes restless. It begins searching for answers inside your memories. You start replaying old conversations. You remember small moments that once seemed unimportant. You start asking yourself questions. Did I say something wrong? Did they lose feelings? Was there something I could have done differently? The brain keeps searching for a reason. But silence provides no explanation. And when the brain cannot find answers, it often starts creating them. Unfortunately, those imagined answers are often worse than the truth. Another powerful reason silence hurts is emotional habit. During a relationship, communication becomes part of your daily life. Morning messages, random updates during the day, late night conversations before sleep. Over time, your brain becomes used to these small signals. Every message becomes a small emotional reward. A reminder that someone is thinking about you. A reminder that someone cares. These signals create a feeling of connection and safety. Your brain starts expecting them. It becomes part of your routine. But when the relationship ends, those signals disappear. Your brain still expects them. But they never come. And that absence creates discomfort. Some psychologists even compare this feeling to withdrawal. Your brain became used to receiving emotional rewards from that person. Attention. Affection. Validation. When those rewards suddenly stop, the brain reacts strongly. It feels confused, restless, and sometimes even anxious. This is why people often check their phones again and again after a breakup. It is not always about hope. Sometimes it is simply habit. Your brain learned a pattern. Phone notification means emotional reward. So it keeps searching for that signal again. Every time you unlock your phone, your brain is asking the same question. Is the connection back? Is the silence finally over? But when nothing appears, the silence becomes even more noticeable. And the cycle repeats. You check the phone again later. And again. And again. Silence also triggers a strong feeling of loneliness. Even when you are surrounded by people. Even when life continues moving forward. The absence of one specific person can feel enormous. Because that person once occupied a large space in your emotional world. They were part of your daily thoughts. part of your routines, part of your future plans. When they disappear, that space suddenly becomes empty. And the brain notices that emptiness again and again. The silence reminds you that something important is missing. There is another psychological effect that happens after breakups. Silence often changes the way we remember the relationship. Your brain begins highlighting the positive memories, the laughter, the shared jokes, the meaningful moments. At the same time, the negative memories slowly fade into the background. Arguments, frustrations, the small problems that once caused stress. Because of this, the brain sometimes creates an illusion. It starts believing the relationship was perfect. But the truth is more complicated. Every relationship has challenges. Every breakup happens for a reason. Silence does not erase those reasons. It simply hides them for a while. The good news is that the brain slowly adapts. At first, the silence feels unbearable. The quiet feels heavy. The absence feels overwhelming. But with time, small changes begin to happen. New routines appear. New conversations enter your life. New experiences begin to fill your days. Slowly, the phone stops being the center of your attention. The urge to check it becomes weaker. The silence that once felt painful becomes easier to accept. One day you might notice something surprising. The silence is still there. But it no longer hurts the same way. What once felt like emptiness now feels like space. Space to breathe. Space to grow. Space to start again. Breakups are painful. And silence can make that pain feel even stronger. But silence is not always the enemy. Sometimes silence is the beginning of healing. It gives your mind the space it needs to recover. And slowly, that silence becomes something different. Not loneliness, but peace. If this video helped you understand your feelings a little better, consider subscribing to the channel. We explore the psychology behind emotions, relationships, and the human mind. Because sometimes, understanding why we feel something is the first step toward feeling better. And remember this: the silence that hurts today might become the peace you need.